Welcome to Countdown to Infinity, a Marvel's Avengers podcast. We talk all things Marvel Cinematic Universe, including all of the Disney Plus series, almost 30 films, and we've got a brand new film to talk about. We're talking Thor, Love and Thunder from Taika Waititi. This one kind of first of all, spoiler free. We are not spoiling anything.
Man.
This is first reactions, just our first, I guess, thoughts on the movie. We watched it less than an hour ago.
Yeah, like about not even 15 minutes ago.
Not even 15 minutes ago. Pretty fresh on the brain.
Yeah.
My name's Manuel.
Oh, yeah, my name is Sofia.
And again, we are not spoiling the film. So if you haven't seen it, you can listen to this. It's totally safe.
I thought this was going to be the spoiler version.
We have to really be careful, Sophia. No, I promise you we won't. And if we do, I'll cut it out, okay?
Oh, okay. So the way that it ends.
Okay. I think, we're now on the cusp of Thor being, I mean, obviously it's now a 2-decade, it's crazy to think about. It's not 2 decades yet, but it is a really, Thor is one of the OG Avengers. And,
yes.
Captain America is kind of gone. Iron Man is gone.
Right. Yeah.
Hulk is somewhere. She-Hulk is coming out soon. But, it's, what do you think about the fact that this is now the most standalone films of any superhero with Thor, Love and Thunder? This is the 4th movie.
Is it really standing alone though?
This one I think more than some of the other ones. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Like at least from the other Avengers, quote unquote.
I was just thinking about the beginning of this movie, and from the beginning to the end, I guess you're right. Yeah, it does stand alone. And I wasn't really expecting to, because Thor, no offense to any major Thor people out there, like fans, stans, etc. I wasn't really like bonding with Thor in my heart as much as the other Avengers, but this kind of threw me through a hoop here.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And it was a bit of emotional roller coaster for me, because I really didn't know what this was going to be about, to be honest. I mean, of course we saw trailers and we had little tidbits here and there, but it was way more impactful than I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought it was going to be more playful and, like, kind of like Ragnarok. You know how Ragnarok is a bit funny and it's more based on, like, just, like, a slip of Thor's actual life and, Asgard and whatever. But this was a bit of a tearjerker for me.
Yeah, really. I think, if you're looking back at all the other Thor films, they're so different from each other. The first one,
they really are
set in a small town. We meet, Jane Foster. It's a really good movie, but then it suddenly becomes the dark world and a much different vibe of a film, the director of Game of Thrones, Alan Taylor. And then Taika takes over at Thor and Ragnarok and shows this really fun adventure, bright, kind of meta comedy.
Yeah, that's why I thought, that's what I was thinking of, especially because Taika did Ragnarok like way different than this. I feel like you can still tell it's Taika because, I mean, I love Taika so much, my gosh.
Yeah.
But this was definitely on its own for sure compared to Ragnarok and all the other Thor movies. Like, I feel like this was probably one of the best ones.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, so I guess like overall, this was such a fun movie. But I'm also really surprised because it's no secret that a lot of Chris Hemsworth is back. Tessa Thompson is back as Valkyrie.
Yes.
Of course, even Taika voices a Korg in this.
Yes.
But we've got also the return of Natalie Portman. And I don't think this is a spoiler. It's in the trailer as the Mighty Thor.
Yes.
We're not going to talk about how she gets those powers, but that was really refreshing and if not incredibly important to this story. And so
Thor.
And a returning character like that is a lot of fun to see on screen, but to have kind of the purpose that she does. And then it's kind of crazy how Russell Crowe is in this. He's also in the trailer as Zeus.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe, who is hamming it up in this. And, I can't even imagine. He's won an Oscar. We know him from Gladiator and Jean Valjean from Les Mis. But, he does such a fantastic job playing Zeus. And then, I mean, I don't think I can overstate how much of an acting presence Christian Bale has as Gore the God Butcher in this. What a performance, giving it his all, but also just delivering some of the best villain stuff that
like
we've seen in the
scare
MCU.
sequences almost.
Oh yeah.
Like it's bonkers, man. Bonkers.
What did you? Well, yeah. What did you think of Christian Bale?
Okay, 100% my favorite part of the film was with him in it. I'm not
Yeah.
going to talk about it specifically because it's spoiler free, but
His moments are great.
His scenes are just by far, I love it. My gosh.
What
I
a
mean,
yeah, he gets to play Batman in DC.
yeah.
And then do all of the other fun stuff that he does.
And
but
then he yells at people.
He gets to yell at people. Yeah, and here he is as Gore, the God Butcher, and kind of one of the parts of the movie that is incredibly unique that you've never seen before. Yeah, like I'm saying, like him,
Okay.
his role in like the world that he inhabits is
Yes,
so
yeah.
cool. And
like the powers that he has specifically in this movie, it's very, very cool. It's done very cool.
And I gotta say, this is, I mean, the stuff that you would assume are in a Marvel movie, or really a superhero movie.
Yeah.
And specifically, I mean, like MacGuffins, like you have to get this object to this place or
Right.
this weapon
For
to
this
do this
reason.
thing. That is still in this, but I
Yeah.
don't think that. I mean, we're watching Miss Marvel now currently, and there's
It's
MacGuffins
it's
there's
everywhere.
bangles, and
Right.
it's unavoidable almost. And I think even just, I mean, CGI monsters is kind of unavoidable too. There's a lot of that happens.
Especially now where we're at in the MCU, like because we're dealing with different universes and Thor being a god and, like
the
all that
stakes
jazz.
are incredibly
It's so,
high.
Yeah, of course.
And again, like the universe is in danger. Everything is always in danger, especially when it comes to Thor.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot that's packed into what I thought was like a pretty efficient movie. I felt like time flew fast in this film,
for
right?
sure, for sure.
It's not like I think Eternals was almost 3 hours long or something.
Yeah, no, that definitely not that vibe up in here.
Yeah.
You get the humor that you would normally get with Taika. You get like the silliness and the colors and the just all of that light-hearted
Oh
humor.
my gosh, yeah.
But at the same time, this feels so much more emotionally driven, and I feel like almost every character had like their own little arc and their own little just sequence that just is
Good.
specifically designed for them.
It's a great balance because, as I said up top, Valkyrie is back, and we
Right.
have a Lady Thor or the Mighty Thor in Jane Foster, and then of course we've got the lead, and all of this stuff going on. We have the Guardians in this, like that's in the
Right.
trailer too.
Yes,
not
it
a
is.
spoiler,
Not a
but
spoiler.
and it's well balanced and not something that seems super gratuitous, like here's an extra character, let's just do it, whatever. Like
Yeah.
everything has a purpose for sure.
Yes.
I gotta say though that this, we've watched a ton of Taika's stuff, including Boy, Hunt for the Wilder People, Jojo Rabbit.
Right.
This movie, I texted this to John right afterwards. This movie fits in so perfectly with the rest of his stuff.
It does.
Not just in terms of like tone, of course, but also the themes of those movies
Yes.
fit this one perfectly without going into too much detail.
Yes.
And I think that's what's really great is it feels really like I don't know, really thought out and emotional, and then also personal. Like there's
It's much deeper than just a superhero movie.
absolutely, I think in front of and behind the camera, there are
Yes.
things in this movie that are so personal to Chris Hemsworth, to Taika. And I think you'll notice that, and it makes it really special.
I think it also leads to the future of the MCU.
Oh, of course.
Just
yeah.
without saying too much right now. But obviously, like
Some great after credits.
Yes,
For sure.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
Good.
yes.
Always stay for the credits, but I don't think we have to tell the
No,
people who listen.
I
to
mean,
Marvel
if you
Pod.
leave after the first one, like you're not. Are you really a true MCU
Yeah,
fan?
what's going
you know what
on?
I'm saying? You got to stay for both.
Yeah, but I think that there's a whole lot of this. I mean, I think like top line, there's a lot of stuff you haven't seen before.
Right.
There's a lot of really fun sequences, and I think it is a really funny movie too. Like
It is. It's a family movie, for
I
sure.
read somewhere that somebody said that these Marvel movies are the highest grossing comedies because some of them are, there are setups and jokes and recurring jokes that happen in a lot of MCU stuff.
This movie is filled with that.
Yeah, so I think it's a really light movie for you to enjoy too. But I will say though, I am a little surprised at how
I'm surprised.
dark it can get.
Yes.
This movie, and it doesn't go like Multiverse of Madness level.
No,
But
no.
it gets really darn close
But
to that.
borderline, yeah. Also, I will say that there was a lot more cursing in this movie than I thought there was going to be.
There's cursing for sure. There's violence, but don't worry.
Well, I mean,
they do
yeah.
that pirates thing where you don't see the red blood. Like, it's so funny
It's
how
maybe like a bluish, but
yeah, or a gold. Like, it's crazy how many different colors of blood they can come up with. So it's not
Honestly.
red,
But it still fits.
but it's still keep it PG-13. I
Right.
guess in a way. I mean, I don't think this is too spoilery either. There's some really good, I would say, recurring sounds, and I'll leave it at that. That maybe happened 24 times in the movie, maybe even like more than that. But it's really funny because you hear it and then you're just like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about? I mean, I guess like what are I'm trying to not spoil anything.
It's really tricky because this is such a good movie that I would love to talk in detail about because there is so much to talk about. Because, like I said, because it is a deeper movie than just a superhero movie. It's
also like
it's so amazing.
I love how Taika deals with this, I think, thing that it's going to be hard to ignore in the MCU at some point. Well, it is really hard. And in the movies, we're seeing this kind of in the show where it struggles is the fact that, you know, the Avengers are real and the Thanos snap happened. And at this point,
and there's
a ton of history. There's a ton of history.
Yes.
And I love how Taika addresses it in this movie. And to not let it get in the way, because we've seen some MCU stuff where it's kind of bogged down by the blip or the snap. Like it is.
Right.
I mean, you know, there are some shows on Disney Plus where it's all about that.
Yes.
I'm talking like, you know, Falcon Winter Soldier.
Falcon,
It's pretty much all about the blip. And there's the Hawkeye is kind of about dealing with the repercussions.
Right.
And it's kind of and that's like my biggest worry is how does any of this move on from that, you know? Like, but it seems to be easier, I think, when you go into space.
Yes,
And,
because I mean, because then you don't feel like the world is just the blip.
Earth is small.
Yeah, compared to literally thousands and thousands and thousands of universes. So,
Would you be down for more Thor adventures? Or are you like,
100%.
let's just make as many of these as Chris Hemsworth wants to do?
If they're going to be like this one, sure, but there's only so much trauma, I guess you can say, or like experiences that can be told through Thor.
Thor is constantly beat up. Like, it's hard. I mean, he loses his loses his brother. He loses his. He's
lost a lot.
Yeah, he's lost so much. It's wild. But I mean, I think that he occupies this really unique space in the MCU too, which is God's. Like, there's nothing like that.
And that's the thing that drives this movie, right? Like, there's so much of it that has to do with his I mean, just his dealing of emotions. And oh my gosh, it's done so beautifully, and I can't wait for everybody to see it. Just go watch it.
Yeah.
Everybody.
All right. Well, I guess I mean, it's hard. We're going to be talking about Miss Marvel on Monday. And then that later on, I believe the day after that, we will have.
After I watched Thor like 3 more times.
I know. And Miss Marvel's so good too. Like, this, very good things to watch if you're an MCU fan. And then we'll have a full edition. I believe we're recording that with John and Andrew.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, I think, really, really long because who knows? Actually, by this record, Andrew hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah,
so
we saw
that's
it before
interesting.
they did.
Yeah, but we'll have to see what they think. But that'll be really exciting. So stay tuned to your feed. But we've come to the
unless
end.
you haven't seen it yet, then
Unless
don't
you haven't
listen
seen
to
it.
that.
Yeah. Well, you can listen to this.
You can listen to this, just not that.
Yeah. Sophia, what do you have to plug?
Of course, please go see this movie, Thor: Love and Thunder. Please go check it out. It's going to be amazing. I promise you're going to love it. Also, if you enjoy that, you're definitely going to enjoy the rest of the Dolphin Pod shows because they talk a bunch about us. They talk a bunch about what? I'm so sorry.
I don't know what you're saying.
I'm trying to say that you guys talk about a bunch of stuff. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. You got it.
And you can listen to everything that they have available on Patreon too. If you want to take your support even further, everything's going to be available at patreon.com/delphinpod, DELFINPOD. And then you can listen to anything that I have to say on social media. Everything's going to be at _Simply Sophie, SOFIEE.
Sweet. Well, again, listen to us in the coming days for more MCU stuff, including Miss Marvel and the full talk on Thor: Love and Thunder. Go watch that movie, share it with your friends. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.